I started making Zoom balls maybe 30 years ago, a long time ago, and it was because we used to go on a lot of trips with our students. We did lots and lots of field trips. Sometimes we'd be doing field trips with lots of hiking, going many miles for like 3 or 4 days, and always it was about learning the plants and plant communities and ethnobotany, and it was just a wonderful way of studying and learning and being together. But I would notice that, if we had 8 miles to get to camp, sometimes the students would start lagging, and they'd all start off singing, and pretty soon they were like, ugh. So I found out that if halfway through the trip I gave them these little balls, they would go, they would have hiked to China with me. It was unbelievable. They'd get into camp at 8 at night, they'd be all happy, nobody was whining, and they were just like ready to bring out the, guitars and sing around the campfire. And so it was like, so that's why we started making them, and then I found out that they were wonderful and everybody loved them. So I've kind of been making them for a long time. And the thing about it is this particular recipe can be adapted for all kinds of different situations and people, and even as medicine. So, along with plant conservation and medicinal, being very aware of the medicinal plants we're using, the other aspect of herbalism that I really try to focus on is making plants a part of our life, not just regulating them to the first aid station or just for illness, like I'm sick and I need something. Because if your approach to herbalism is that, about 90% of what the plants offer you miss. It's like most of what plants are is about beauty and a great way of being and balance and homeostasis. They just are so much more than just medicine. And even when you work with them as medicine, like somebody's very ill and you want to use the plants to help heal them, you're much more effective in your practice if you give the tincture, give the tea, give a soup, bring some bouquets, spray like a hydrocell or some essential oils. There's so many ways that you can help with the process other than just this chemical pathway through the body. So anyway, what I found is that the more that you can incorporate herbs, again, it's a teaching to bring these plants back into our lives, into our lifestyle through food and through really good tea and through balls and candy and cooking and sprinkles that you put on your salad, the more that they sort of begin to permeate your life and make that really wholesome change that we all are trying to seek. So this is a famous recipe. And as I said, a lot of you already have made it already, and we won't take too much time doing it, just a little bit of time. And then we'll pass them around, and you'll be energized for the rest of the day, and hopefully not the rest of the night. That's the key, how to formulate them so that it gives you just enough, pizzazz to get you through the day and feel really energized. And then around 8 or 9, you'll want to, oh, what a nice day, and then you can sleep well. So the basic formula it's 3 stages. The first stage is you need to make a candy base. And the candy base that we're going to make, and I need a helper here, actually, somebody who likes to stir. Oh, good, Jane, come on up here, honey. So, oh, he did get almond butter for us. Ooh.
Should I open it?
Huh?
Should I open it?
Yeah, you did. Yes, yeah, and then you can just throw both of them in there. And I was going to do it in this glass. Okay, we'll do it in here so people can watch. Okay. This is a better stirring bowl, and this is a beautiful flower bowl. That's actually from Jackie, and then you can see it. So the first thing that you start the base even is medicine. You're going to use nut butters or seed butters that are nourishing if possible. I usually love to use tahini. It's sesame seed butter. Because sesame seed butter is a very, very high source of calcium that's really easy. It's a seed, not a nut. Nuts are harder for our systems to digest. They're great food, but they're very hard to digest. So with older people or even children or somebody when they're really sick, you might want to use a lot of sesame butter. That's one way, again, that you can just make this more quote-unquote medicinal. So I usually almost always use sesame butter. Also, I'm Armenian, right? So that's sesame seed and halva and all that's just part of our tradition. I love it. And then we're using almond butter, which for me is the queen of the nut butters. Why? It's actually fairly easy to digest. It's really rich in protein. It's a very, very nourishing nut. It's queen of the nuts. So you can also use other nut butters. If you have very little money or you're working in a community of people who don't have a lot of money, you might just use peanut butter. And peanut butter, as we know, is not a really very good nut butter for us. It's hard to digest, etc. but it's familiar to people. A lot of people know it. It's cheap. So, again, you want to work with what people can work with. I think that's really, really important. It's one of the things I love about herbs. It's a people's medicine still, and we should always keep it accessible. But I generally don't use peanut butter. I'll use, sometimes I'll choose to use cashew butter just because it's so delicious, it's creamy. Not necessarily one of your better nut butters for you, but it is good. Hazelnut butter's fabulous. Whenever I'm making like aphrodisiac balls, this is a great way to make really, really good aphrodisiac balls. Yeah, and you put all your wild, wicked witches in there, and you stir it up. You let all your little witchy self come out, and then you give them to people. So anyway, the nut butter, and then we add honey. So what I usually do with the honey is I add enough honey. So I can give you a recipe with this, but this is the way that I like to do herbs. I add enough honey that it's sweeter than I want it to be. When I mix it into that nut butter, it tastes one taste sweeter. I go, oh, I made it too sweet. Just a little too sweeter, because the whole idea of the honey, besides from all its marvelous minerals and it's wonderful things that the honey gives to us, it's going to camouflage the taste of the herbs. The whole idea with these herbal formulas is you're going to add tons of herbs here. So the butter is just the base. That's all it is. Thank you, honey. Thank you, honey. Add that honey. So we'll add about about right to there, that amount, and then we'll taste it.
Okay.
Let's do our little taste test. Jane's done this before. Little tiny, with my sterilized finger. So we're going to add just a little bit more. Because see how it's perfect right now, and we don't want it to be perfect. We want it to be sweeter, one taste sweeter. Perfect. That's perfect. So what I have in my recipe is I have 3 cups of nut butter to 2 cups of honey, or more. That's my precise recipe. Oh well, that's about as precise as it gets. So that's step 1. You've made your nut butter, you have your base. The next is your formula. So what you would do is you would carefully formulate what you want. Today what we're formulating, and this was done very thoughtfully for you, late in the afternoon, is where so I'm telling you, this is what I would think about when I make this formula. I'm thinking of something that gives you nice, slow, sustained energy, and that helps to build your systems. It's going to support your adrenals and make you feel really supported inside. So that's what you're going to watch for. Do you feel really supported inside? And then, but I also wanted to give you a little zoom, because I've been sitting for 2 days and you're tired, and some of you have long drives home. So I want to put a zoom in there too. Plus it's really fun to feel the zoom. The herb that we're using that has that zoom is a caffeine high herb. We're going to use guarana and cola. So guarana and cola have caffeine. If people don't want that, we can do a little separate. But here's the thing that's different about those herbs. They don't have a lot of other alkaloids. They don't have those other 13 alkaloids that, say, a coffee bean does. So actually, it's amazing how guarana works. It's very, very seldom does anybody ever get that kind of jittery feeling, or I can't go to sleep, because it's not agitating your system. It's really just like pure caffeine without all the agitation. So that's one of the reasons people notice a real difference. It's not an everyday herb. Again, it's still caffeine. It's still strong. Caffeine is an alkaloid. It belongs down here. So, but occasionally it's great. So, and do you all know what guarana is? It's a seed, grows in South America, sustainably harvested from the rainforest. It's not like it's unsustainable. They actually cultivate it and grow it. Really hard little seeds. So this is the powder. So we're going to take adaptogenic herbs. You could also add like all kinds of those warming culinary. You could add cinnamon, etc. But I think I just took a few adaptogenic herbs, and we'll add a little zoom. So you have a little zoom supported by this like nice energy. Okay? Does that sound good? All right. So I'm going to do this myself. I look out at everybody and I see how many people, and I go. So I say we're going to add ashwagandha, healing spirits, local ashwagandha, and look at this. I brought just the amount for everybody. I'm always amazed. And I brought hawthorn powder. Crataegus species, really pretty much it's figured at this point that all the various multi-species of Crataegus are useful, but my guess is as time goes on, there'll be certain species that are identified more than others. So hawthorn is the heart herb. This would be, just nice supportive. It's also very high in antioxidants and lots of good things for us. That was a hawthorn, and that was hawthorn berry, by the way. Yeah, it was berry. The leaves and the stems and the flowers are just as medicinal and just as good, but they don't powder well, and you always get little pieces of stuff in there. We want this to be really fine candy. And then we're going to add a little bit of what else? Siberian ginseng I brought. Some of you would, make your formula much more local. You could add powdered burdock. You could add powdered dandelion root. I just happened to bring these ones, so that's what we're adding. We're adding, and you see how much I'm adding? A lot. But as I said, if you wanted to formulate this yourself, you'd think about the amount that you wanted to make, etc. But I've done this for so long and so much. I really do know what I'm doing, even though it doesn't always seem like it. Occasionally I don't, but mostly I do. And astragalus will add. So all these are all adaptogenic tonic herbs. These are all the support herbs, these herbs that give you a gentle lift of energy, not in any way stimulating, but just helping us to adapt to sitting on our butts all day. Okay, I better let you steer that. Yeah, thank you, Jane.
Sure.
So I think another thing I'd like you to see is that the whole idea of this formula is delivery. It's a lot of herbs in a formula. So, and that's kind of the trick is, can we make this taste really good so you're getting your dosage? You're getting what you need. So anyway, we add a lot of herbs. It starts to look like cookie dough. A lot of times I add to this adaptogenic formula, I'll add, a lot of times I add Hoshu Wu, which you can grow. Actually, I grow it in Vermont, but it's very cold weather sensitive, so I bring that in. It's another Hoshu Wu or Fotai. Yeah. And I did bring a little licorice. Does anybody feel like they want a little adrenal support? We'll just add a little bit. I won't add so much that it'll cause any problems with any heart medication. How about that? So we won't add quite this. One of the reasons I'm not going to add so much licorice is it's so darn sweet in here. And it gives it kind of a sickeningly sweet taste. So I would just add a little bit and stir that up. So after you get your formula, now the main ingredients I'm adding in this formula are going to be guarana and kola. And really, truly, a dosage that I would say is a good afternoon dosage that shouldn't keep any of you awake. You can write me, email me if it does, and I'll apologize to you, is about 1/4 teaspoon. And a dosage, if you were to take it in the morning, let's say you have a long drive or a long hike, or you just have a lot of studying to do, is about 1/2 teaspoon. That's about how I dose it. Those are strong dosages. Doesn't that look like it's about not quite 1/4 teaspoon for everybody?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I think too. Okay. I think it's perfect.
Yeah, it's just right.
I don't know how I can be so smart. Do you want to add a little cola too? That was guarana. Are you sure? I brought it.
I thought you had mentioned that you.
I did.
Yeah.
Here's the cola. That wicked laugh. You have to be mindful of that wicked laugh. When that starts coming out of me, we're in trouble. Okay, so one time, while she's mixing this, because I have to wait a minute till it's all mixed, and then we do the last step. Okay, so the last thing is, I think these, do you want to try it and
Sure.
see? Not pretty good. Not bad. All right, so now the last part of the formula is, it's hard to believe we can make it taste so good with all those herbs. I mean, because even when I take really bitter herbs, somehow this recipe, those nut butters and honey, camouflage it. The last part is to make it like a treat, to make it the candy. And so you have a lot of choices. Like one of my favorite things to do is to get coconut, organic coconut, unsweetened, and toast it. And I didn't toast this, or David didn't toast it, but I didn't ask him to. But if you toast it, it just brings out the nutty flavor a little bit. But we're going to get it without being toasted, and we'll save a little bit because we'll roll the balls in here. I'll let you do that,
Sure.
honey, and you can just put a lot of it in there. But save some too for rolling, about that much in the bottom. And so you can add coconut, you can add chopped and slivered nuts of choice. So it could be hazelnuts or walnuts. You can add gobi berries, the wolfberries that are so popular now, fabulous adaptogenics and great. They're better than raisins in this, but they're a little expensive, but you can add those to them. Hey, you want to make it really good? Take those goji berries, those wolfberries, you all know what I'm speaking about. Soak them in Chambord. Or Or like Robin served us this a fabulous heart tonic that she made last night, you know, like one of those cordials. Soak them in the cordials so they're nice and juicy, and then add that to this. And David got for us, and so any kind of nuts, we'll add slivered almonds to it. So we'll put those in, we'll add all of that. And then he got organic chocolate chips, which we'll add. Is that okay with everybody? You can pick yours out if they're not. And what are other things I add to it? We'll add quite a bit of those too. Raisins, you know, you can add a little bit of granola, but it doesn't really taste so good with granola. Sometimes we add spirulina. It's wonderful if you're going to travel and you're going to be in places where you won't have a lot of the protein and stuff. Like as a vegetarian, sometimes I'll make these and put a lot of spirulina, but then they get really green. I love green, but green balls are, they're kind of disgusting actually, but no. So anyway, you could add spirulina powder. What are other things that you can think that you might add that would make it just yummy good? You know, you just kind of add this. And add dried fruit and chopped dates, there you go. So you can have fun, but this is what we're adding. And then the last part of it is that we want to add something that thickens it. And I usually will add a carob or else a bittersweet chocolate unsweetened. If I want to make them taste like truffles, I add unsweetened chocolate, or cocoa. And you can get really good organic. But we're going to add carob because we want to be pure today. So we're going to do some good carob. And carob is wonderful. Carob is a medicine. It's an herb. It's really soothing. It's rich in mucilage. It's very nourishing. So again, you know, you can eat these and feel great about it. You don't have to worry about your balls. You can eat all you want. I didn't mean that. That was wrong. That was wrong. Wrong. Okay, so we'll stir those in. And then at some point, Jane, if you don't mind, if you could go wash your hands, and I need you to get your hands into it. Or if you'd rather somebody else do that, but you always have to get your hands into it. And basically that's it. Then you roll it into a ball about so big, so you're getting a nice dosage of herbs and all that good food, those nice nut butters. Well, you make them smaller. I could say something now, but I'm not going to. I can feel it right on the tip, and I'm going to keep it in. So anyway, and so. And while she's finishing, and so the idea is, hopefully, if we've done a really good job, is that they're rich in herbs and they're good. I think that's really good. I think that's good. I think it would have been better if we'd gotten cocoa, because I like that rich flavor of bittersweet cocoa, but this tastes more wholesome.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. And then we'll roll them, and we'll roll them in the coconut, and we'll roll them in the carob. And we'll have these really, and you can also roll them in bittersweet chocolate, melting chocolate, so they're chocolate coated if you want. So if you can have a little bit of chocolate once in a while. We girls like our balls big.
Yes.
Yeah, that's good. That's
Okay.
perfect. Yeah, that's perfect.
And then coconut first?
Or just one or the other. You could put it in coconut and just shake it in there. You can show them how pretty it looks. The huge round. And just so you know, in the flavor of these, I would put these up at about a B- as far as, you know, the actual flavor. So you can make them taste A+, just adjusting them a little bit. They're good, but they're, you know, I just want you to know that you can make them really better too. And I might just have one. I think, is there enough for everybody? I'll wait. Oh, you did? Okay, well, let's pass them around. Then if there's any left, I'll go ahead and have them. You want to pass them, Cynthia, or start them? It's kind of fun. Next topic. Is there another question that somebody wants to ask? Yes.
What was the ballpark amount of herbs that you were adding?
Oh, yes. There we go. In this formula right here, yeah, so this is a recipe. It's 3 cups nut butter, approximately 2 cups of honey. And these are they're not the exact herbs, but they give you the proportions of why. So to that much nut butter, I add about 4 ounces of guarana, 2 ounces of kola nut powder. Oh, these are Zoom balls. And 2 ounces Siberian ginseng, and 1 ounce of Hoshu Wu for instance. So that's a total of Hoshu or Fotai, yeah, that's on this recipe. Yeah. So you want to say, I can tell you what it is. Let's go. So for 3 cups of nut butter and 2 cups of honey, we'll add like 4, 5, 6, Say about 9 ounces of herb powder, okay? That's approximate, just to give you an idea. About 9 ounces. We probably added about 12. Pardon? Yeah, they're not bad.